Hello everybody, it's Angela. Today I'm going to take up the challenge that Nikki Adegan laid down for me, and it's my turn to answer my 10 crafty questions. So here we go. Thank you, Nikki. Right, so I've got a cup of tea here and I just thought we could have a little chat about some of the things as we go along. So the first one was, what is your name? Well, that's all easy enough. It's Angela Kerr. How did you come up with your YouTube name? Well, my YouTube name is the same as my actual name, Angela Kerr, so not much creativity went into that one. So I'm sorry about that, but I just thought it would be easier if you were looking for me to find me that way, because I sometimes get confused with people that have different names. So I just kept it simple. What's my favorite craft? Well, I do like a lot of different kinds of things, and some I haven't even tried yet. So one of the things I really still want to do is pewter, working with pewter and crafting with pewter. That's on my bucket list. But my favorite craft, I have lots of crafts that I like doing, but yeah, I'm avoiding the question really. But well, I love knitting, I love sewing, I love working with paper, and I have done for a long time. We'll get into that in a further question. But I love junk journaling, and I think it's probably because I can do all the sort of things that I do enjoy doing as far as crafts are concerned, and do them all together. So I think you can paint, you can work with Mod Podge, you can decoupage, you can do mixed media, you can even do embroidery. I love embroidery, I love sewing, all those things. So I suppose my favorite craft at the moment out of all of them is probably sewing. I love sewing, and I've sewn since I was quite young. Number 4, favorite place to shop for craft supplies. Well, contrary to what you might think, I'm a bit of an introvert, so I don't really like trawling the streets and different shops for things. I think the easiest way to find what you really want craft-wise is to go online. So I suppose Amazon. I'm terrible for using Amazon, especially with paper and chipboard and, you know, those kinds of things. So yeah, Amazon is definitely my glues and all of that. I get a lot of bits off eBay, and that's because it's people selling authentic vintage or antique type of lace and things like that. So I suppose eBay is another one. And of course I use Etsy. I use Etsy quite a lot for bits and bobs like beads or sari silk. I buy a lot from other crafters as well. And I enjoy doing that. So yeah, those are my main 3. I'm gonna have a sip of tea. This is Red Bush tea. It's my favorite tea. Not relative and irrelevant to the questions, but anyway, there you go. It gives a lovely reddish tinge to your tea stain papers if you use it. My top 5 crafty YouTube channels. This was a cruel question, everyone, and I hate to have to be put on the spot with this one, because really, how can you put 5 people down? I watch so many channels. I have over 200 subscriptions just on crafters, and I love, obviously I don't get to watch every single one, and but I do have a lot of favorite crafting channels. Now, beside the obvious, I'm not going to go into that. I probably would say, besides, oh, and I feel terrible because I'm going to leave people out, and it's not my intention, but you know, these are the 5 people that I do seem to watch the most. And I think the person has inspired me quite a lot as well has to be Gina from the Firefly Studio 67. Gina, I probably watch every single video that she ever makes, and it's the first person I look for when I have 5 minutes to watch. So that is probably my favorite. Gina's inspired me so much. She's such a lovely lady. I work with her and together with Nikki Adegan, Martina and Gina on 5 on the Diamond. It's such a lovely group of people. So definitely Gina. Another person I watch a lot of, and I'm not sure if all of you know of her, but she's such a talented lady as well, and that's Heidi McGregor from Frizzy Lizzy Designs on Instagram. She also is unbelievably talented, and I'm just counting here. I think I've got 3 of her journals, so Heidi, I do love what you do, so, and I watch all your videos as well. Another person that I can't get enough of, and really a very inspirational lady, very talented artist, as you all are, is Martina from Tequila. I love her work. I just love her colors, the way she does things. It just speaks to me, so love watching Martina produce something. She's always so inspirational as well. And then 2 of the bigger people that really have influenced me in my journaling, and are 2 people that got me going into this. And the very first person I ever watched doing journaling was actually Amity Bloom. I just love the pastels, and I think the pastels and the lightness of it really influenced me. I don't watch as much as I used to, but that is definitely one of the people that influenced me on my sort of journey. The other one, of course, was Mrs. Cog, and Liz makes beautiful journals. I always wanted to own one of her journals. It is a slightly different type of a journal. I wouldn't put it down as a junk journal. It's a keepsake. But then most of the journals are from all the ladies I've mentioned before. They are actually keepsakes, and I have a journal from Gina, and I have one from Martina as well. Those are the people I've got journals from. So then Mrs. Cog, and I did my first course with Mrs. Cog this year, which is when I started with junk journaling, and I binge watched everything she did. She was amazing. So those are my top 5. Obviously, I've got lots of people I watch, and I'm sorry if I've offended anybody by not mentioning them. People like Tracy Fox, Dina from Timeless Junk Journals. She makes the most unbelievable journals without even using a kit, and everything is crafted and created from scratch. I admire that so much. If you haven't seen her, obviously Andrea from RT Maze, and I could go on and on, but you know these people, especially the bigger names. All right, I needed another sip of tea. Favorite colors. My favorite colors, really, I love pastels. So if you're talking my kind of colors, those would be aquas, mints, mauves, lilacs, pinks, lemons, those kind of shades. So that's my kind of thing. My favorite craft tool, well, that has to be my sewing machine. I love my sewing machine, and I don't even have a fancy sewing machine at the moment. So, but I love the finish that it gives to the kind of stuff that we do. And then, of course, show and tell, my craft knife. Without this, I'm not one that cuts out much with a pair of scissors, because my bit OCD kicks in, and I like dead straight lines, so I mostly use my craft tool, and this has been with me for years. And I'll get into that because I used to do other crafts, which we'll talk about in a minute. So I do love my craft knife. Who is the person that got you into into crafting? And that had to be my grandmother. She got me into crafting pretty young. I was probably around 5 or 6. I used to make a lot of cards. She used to let me use her old magazines. She used to get a magazine called Your Family, and it used to have all sorts of bits and pieces for sewing and all sorts of things you do around the house. And I'd trace like the various designs onto card, and then I'd paint them and use glitter and glue and do all sorts of things. She bought me books, and I'd make those squiggly patterns with a black crayon and then colour in all the shapes. She got me into that as well, amongst baking and many other things that I enjoy doing. So it has to be my mother. There's not another person in my family, including my own children, that do anything crafty. Nobody else. I don't understand that at all, because it's not through the lack of trying with my own children as well, but it's just not their thing. Yeah, and my grandmother taught me how to knit as well, from really young. I had little teddy bear needles, and I loved that. And I started sewing pretty young as well. So my same grandparents bought me my first sewing machine, and it was a Singer, the one that you turn the handle, when I was 6 for Christmas. And he put a governor on it so I wouldn't sew over my fingers. So that's where my sort of crafting came from. I have done quite a few bits of crafting as well. And I just brought a few things. I think the first journal, well, the only other journal I've ever made is this. So this I made in 2008. I don't even think journaling was a thing, and I didn't know. I wasn't really a big YouTuber. I don't think I even knew about YouTube. So this is just something that I made. I'm not going to page through the whole thing. It was the first sort of, excuse the crudeness of it, but this was just something that I made. I was trying to go through the letters of the alphabet and what different letters, like a gratitude kind of thing, book really. And this is just something I made. That's my daughter when she was a little girl. Well, she's still she's a young girl, but not little. She's tall. So this is the kind of thing that I was doing in 2008, and I only made one, and that was it. You know, you work, you have kids, and this is the kind of thing that I was doing then. So I don't know, that's my sort of beginnings with any kind of paper crafting on a bigger scale. Like everybody else, I did a little bit of scrapbooking, and I quite liked that. I got involved with Project Life a little bit, not very long. None of these things sort of stuck with me. I really tried and dabbled in a couple of things. I even did, there was another thing I did which was very fleeting, and then I tried a little bit, tried cards a little bit, and that really wasn't my thing. It was, I don't know, I was going to say it was fiddly, but really everything I do now is very fiddly. But it just didn't, it wasn't my sort of, you know, it wasn't really what I wanted to do. It didn't stay for long, and I just packed it all away. And then in December, I think, in the holidays, I just happened to go onto YouTube, and I saw Amity Bloom, and well, I looked at her things for a bit, and then I found Mrs. Cog and Gina, and I tried it. I tried my hand at it when it came to about February, March, and that's where I started trying my own hand at it, and I really enjoyed it. Anyway, so that's really it. So yeah, I did start young. I have done cards, I've done sewing, I've done quite a few things, but as far as question 10 is concerned, what's your favorite craft so far? It has to be journaling. I do try and use a lot of junk or recycle products into it, but I wouldn't say, I prefer to think that I make keepsake journals. So not that there's anything wrong with junk journaling at all, but I think I'm too neat for that. I wish I couldn't be, but I tend to be very neat with things, and that's just how I am. And that's it really. as far as my 10 questions go. Now, all that remains to be done is to tag a few people so that they can share these questions and answers with yourselves. So I'm going to tag Tina from the Hummingbird Designs. I'd love to hear what Tina's answers would be to these, as well as Tonya Samuels. I'm going to tag you, Tonya, and the last person I'm going to tag is Gina from Junk Journaling with Gina B. So those are the ladies I would like to tag to answer these questions for all of you. So thank you for having a cup of tea with me. Not that I've drank much of it. I look forward to seeing you again all soon. I've got quite a few things I need to do this month, journal wise and commitment wise, so I should be putting out quite a few videos for the rest of October. I look forward to seeing you all and to all your comments, and be happy, stay crafty, and I'll see you all soon. Goodbye.